How are we going to do this?
Well, that's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have to rely only on what we see.
You know what, though? That's actually a pretty cool challenge
Right.
because in construction,
Yeah.
so much of it is visual anyway.
Exactly.
You can think about it, blueprints, the materials themselves, how things fit together.
It's all right there in front of you.
Exactly.
Plus, I got to say, just from watching the video, I am hooked.
Oh, yeah.
This house is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Really?
It's got this wild A-frame design, but then it also has these curved elements. It's kind of like a futuristic cabin in the woods.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
It sounds like it might be a cool mix of traditional and contemporary styles.
I think so, too.
The A-frame part, suggests that they're going for simplicity and efficient use of space.
Right, like you see in a lot of older houses.
Exactly, like vernacular architecture.
Uh-huh.
But those curves you mentioned,
Yeah.
that's where they're bringing in modern design,
Makes sense.
playing with those organic shapes and that visual flow.
Yeah, and speaking of visual flow, there's this one part where they're lifting these huge wooden beams for the roof.
Oh, wow.
And they're using this crazy system of ropes and pulleys to do it.
Huh.
And it looks surprisingly efficient.
That's a perfect example of how those traditional building methods can be so resourceful.
I was thinking the same thing.
I bet they're using some variation of a block and tackle.
What's that?
Well, it's this technique that's been used for centuries to lift really heavy objects.
Oh, cool.
It basically lets a small team multiply their force.
So they can lift something way heavier than they could on their own.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Now, in modern construction, you'd probably see a crane doing that kind of job.
Right.
But in this case, it seems like they're adapting to the location and the materials they have available.
I see they're working with what they've got.
Yeah, and it really highlights the skill involved in this type of construction.
Oh, absolutely.
The way they're all working together so smoothly.
Right.
Almost like a dance.
Totally.
It makes you really appreciate the human element of building.
It does. And speaking of human elements, what about the materials they're using?
Oh, yeah. What did you notice?
Well, they're using a lot of timber framing, which makes sense.
Right.
But then there's this other material I couldn't quite figure out. It almost looks like woven reeds or something like that.
You've got a sharp eye.
What do you think it is?
I'm thinking that woven material might be thatch.
Thatch.
Yeah, it's a traditional roofing material made from dried plants. It's super sustainable and it provides great insulation.
Wow. So they're combining thatch with a modern design.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really shows how more and more people are mixing those traditional techniques with contemporary looks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love seeing that.
It's like they're taking the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing how much we've been able to figure out just by watching this video,
I know, right?
even without understanding the language.
It really shows you the power of observation
For sure.
and how much we can learn just by paying attention to those little details. It makes you think about how we learn in general.
Yeah.
We don't always have to rely on what people tell us.
And we can figure things out on our own.
Exactly. We can use our own deduction skills.
So to all our listeners out there, I challenge you to try this in your own lives.
I love that.
Next time you're watching something, anything really, even something you've seen before,
Okay.
hit that mute button and just watch.
Just observe.
See what details you notice, what stories you can put together just from the visuals.
I like it.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the most interesting things are hidden in plain sight.
That's the truth.
I just got to know where to look.
And how to look.
Exactly.
That's the key.
And on that note,
Yeah.
we'll wrap up our deep dive for today.
Sounds good.
Until next time, keep those eyes peeled and those minds open.
Always be observing.
Exactly.
You never know what you'll find.